last week, Jinger Duggar Vuolo told us about the effects of growing up under the teachings of Bill Gothard. He founded the Institute in Basic Life Principles, an organization instructing people to follow God's principles found in the Bible. Now, in her new book, Becoming Free Indeed, My Story of Disentangling Faith from Fear, Jinger opens up about stepping away from the cult-like teachings, and it wouldn't have been possible without her husband, Jeremy. So to tell us about their journey together, we got Jinger and Jeremy joining us live. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, we're glad to be here.
Welcome back, Jinger.
So glad you guys are back. Jeremy, it's good to actually talk to you face to face. We've only done this on Instagram. So, everybody, just to get a loop our audience in, after seeing Jinger's interview with us, you wanted to do an interview together. Why did you want to come on our show today?
Well, I'm so grateful for you guys and how you interviewed my wife and were so sensitive. And I felt like you guys really understood her story and where she was coming from. And so, yeah, just really grateful for that opportunity to share this journey. I'm beyond proud of Jinger and what she's done, what she's going through, and how she's sharing that with the world.
Good hubby. Well, Jeremy, let's ask you, because you were not a follower of Bill Gothard's principle, but you met Jinger in 2015 at an IBLP conference. So why were you there, and what was your initial reaction to the conference and Bill Gothard?
I had met Ben and kind of just hit it off with Ginger's sister or brother-in-law. Ginger's sister, Jessa, was married to Ben, and we just became buddies, and I went up there to hang out with him. I had no idea really what I was stepping into. It was kind of an interesting environment, and I just thought, oh wow, this is pretty fascinating. You know, everybody dresses the same, talks the same, seems to live the same lifestyle at every point. And so I was kind of naive to the teachings that undergirded that lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. And Jinger, your parents were kind of hesitant to approve a relationship with Jeremy. Can you explain why?
Yeah, it was interesting, I think, because he had some differences. And so I just assumed I would marry someone inside that circle. And so they had him watch 60+ hours of these teachings before we moved forward in our relationship. And it was actually helpful, because that's what was the key that kind of like unlocked everything for me, was seeing how it wasn't based in the Bible, even though this guy promised it was.
Wow. Okay, so to that point, Jeremy, when did you feel like it was the right time to question Jinger and Gothard's teaching? What was that first conversation like with Jinger?
Yeah, when I first started listening to the teaching, I thought, okay, this guy's got some interesting things to say, but I hadn't really delved too deep. And the first conversation I had with Jinger about it, I think she asked me what I thought of the teachings. And I basically said just that. I said, yeah, he's got some interesting kind of philosophical points about, the rise of humanism or whatever, but he doesn't really teach the Bible. And I remember her response to that sentence, because for her, it was like, he's the greatest Bible teacher ever. And I was listening, saying, whatever he's saying isn't from the Bible. So maybe he's got an interesting point here or there, but it's definitely not the Bible.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, that's my question. Jinger, good to see you again. I'm glad you're back. I want to piggyback off of what your husband just said. When he initially challenged this, did you ever consider ending this relationship with Jeremy? He's really confronting all of your baseline principles. Like, what made you want to hear him out?
It was a really scary time for me, because I felt like, okay, here's this shift that just happened. I see it's this guy's not teaching me what's true. And so there was that shift, but it was also scary, because these teachings were so the foundation for my life. I felt like this is what's going to keep me safe, and this is what's going to give me a successful life. So stepping away from that, it was definitely scary, and it was something to think about. But once I saw it wasn't true, it wasn't in the Bible, I was like, well, that does not have any authority over my life.
Wow. Wow. That's brave.
Fascinating. After the break, we're going to continue our conversation with Jinger and Jeremy. Stay with us. Welcome back. We are continuing our conversation with Jinger Duggar Vuolo and her husband, Jeremy, about Jinger becoming free from the cult-like teaching she was raised by. So many questions.
Yes. So, Jinger, in your book, you talk about how Bill Gothard taught women to be agreeable wives. Now, how did this affect the first few years of your marriage?
Yeah, it was interesting. I just thought that in order to be a good wife, I just needed to agree to everything. So I had I wouldn't like think too much for myself with like critical thinking or even have opinions. But that was something that Jeremy was like, oh, I want you to have your own opinion. Think through it. You know, say if I've you know, lost a game that we're playing, just say you did a terrible job. Like, it's okay. Like, enjoy life and let's have fun together. But I was just like so uptight, afraid to say anything, because that was what I was taught.
Wow. In Judaism, we call beshert when it was meant to be. These two, beshert, you needed each other. Jeremy, I have the hard question. You're all going through a really tough time here. Not that the other questions weren't hard, but Josh's conviction on child pornography charges. You've posted a couple of statements about Josh on your Instagram. Why'd you feel the need to do so?
Yeah, I think when you're in the public spotlight and you've chosen to be in the public spotlight because of your stance on truth, or you want to share the truth of Jesus with the world, that's wonderful. But you also need to speak and have a responsibility to speak when things don't go so well. So when those allegations came forth and then later proved true, Jinger and I both felt that we, as members of that family, have the first responsibility to stand up, speak, and give a perspective on how Christ feels from his word on those issues, because we honestly don't have the option to remain silent when we want to be silent, when we've chosen to speak on so many other things.
I appreciate that answer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. Jeremy, what's been the best part in helping and watching Jinger on her journey?
Yeah, I just really want Jinger to be the woman that God has made her to be. And I think when we have a personal relationship with Jesus, it's like we flourish as who we are. And so I've just wanted to be by her side and strengthen her, support her, serve her however I can. And it's been incredible to see her growing into the woman that God has made her.
And Jinger, you know, you have 2 daughters. Do you plan on telling them about your upbringing and your journey?
Yes, I definitely plan to talk with my girls about all of that. It's interesting. They're just 4 and 2 right now, so they're still very young, but I know in years to come, we'll have a lot of good conversations about all of this.
I appreciate your transparency, both of you. It's so refreshing. Jinger and Jeremy, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. To our viewers, you can get Jinger's book, Becoming Free Indeed, My Story of Disentangling Faith from Fear, wherever books are sold. We appreciate you both, and we'll be right back. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.